Guys, want to welcome you to another edition of Halftime Chat, and it's really going to be definitely a good show today. Um, I've got with me the Curtis family, who I am bringing on board soon. And you know what? I've been following them both on Instagram and as well as YouTube, and I do hope that you do check out their channel, but also their new single called "Keep a Positive Mind." Um, it's an amazing family, so I'm going to interview them shortly. But yeah, it's just one of the things that definitely want to be able to celebrate artists from different areas, and no more so them. So I'm about to bring them in. So we will and start quite early.
Oh, I think we see.
Oh, are we live?
Hi.
Okay, did I? Are you guys ready? How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Good, hi.
Okay, okay. Um, Now, yeah, so we are live now. So we've got the Curtis family here, and it'll be great to. Yeah, with the afro, it's quite hard to tell you guys apart. So apart from pops and mums, so it would be great to just get an introduction, just so we know who we're talking to.
Okay. Parents should introduce themselves first. Yeah.
The parents. The parents. Okay, I'm Mama C.
I'm Papa C.
Okay,
I'm Zahara.
I'm
So-
Niall in the back.
Niall,
I'm Isis Curtis.
I'm Kiki. I'm Phoenix.
Kiki and Phoenix. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome, guys. It's really, I was just before we went live. I was just saying. Well, just as I went live before I brought you guys in, I was just saying how I've been following you guys both on YouTube and Instagram, and really just love the vibe that you guys bring. Now, are you guys set? Or do you want? Are you guys settled with everything, or do you want us to come back in?
No, we're just trying to turn it up a little bit. So
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
I just want to turn this. I want
Go ahead.
Do we have
to. It's just the whisper.
Give us just a sec.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what happened is that I kind of got everyone in early. So, um, but yeah, I feel I hope you're watching. Just going to put some comments here, giving up to channel for big ups to the Curtis family. Um, about to cap in. Yes. Well, yeah. I'm glad you guys are here. Okay, I'm going to bring them back in, and hopefully they are back in. All set?
Set.
Okay, okay. So we've done the introductions and stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to be able to talk to you guys because it's really impressive to see um, what you guys do as a family, but as musicians as well, and also really loving keep a positive mind. And so we'll get to talk about that, and also if what to expect afterwards from you guys. But like as I do with all my guests, I always start with where you guys from.
Okay. We're all from San Francisco, born and raised. Well, at least me and my siblings and I and my mama. My father is from Louisiana. You can tell you more about that though.
Yeah, I'm a Louisiana, New Orleans cat, but I've been out here since the early '60s, like '62, '63. So I'm sort of in both worlds. When I came to San Francisco, it was very much like the music in New Orleans. The music was everywhere in San Francisco. So I'm a San Franciscan, but I'm also a Louisianian.
Louisiana. Okay, okay. And how old were you when you moved over to San Francisco? Just trying to understand your musical, how much into the music of the South that you took with you.
I was in the third grade.
Okay, and so I guess with if you're that young musically, then where did you pick it up then?
I come from a musical family, so it was pretty, you know, growing up in the South, music is everything, especially, being here in this country as descendants of African slaves, the importance of music in our culture, it just goes without saying because it is what has helped us to come through some terrible times, but also it's helped us to celebrate and cope.
But when you mentioned being from a musical family, are you saying that your parents were singers and musicians?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a. You want me to get into that? That's kind of a long story, but I'll try to can. I grew up in a tin shack of it kind of gravitated between 10 to 12 to 14 of us at one time.
Wow.
And this would be my uncles and aunts who were pretty much like my brothers and sisters growing up. I'm the eldest of my siblings. And, you know, music was just always in the house, in the home. And this was in northern Louisiana. My dad's family is from southern Louisiana. My mother's from northern Louisiana. And so whenever I go to southern Louisiana, I get to play jazz, I get to sing, or get to just kind of be free with the music. But on my mother's side of the family, we could only sing stuff like She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, and blues in it, you know, because my grandfather was a religious man and really strict. But I would sneak off and I couldn't wait to get out to the places where I could hear the, you know, the real music. But my mother was a singer and a performer, and her twin brother, my grandmother and my grandfather had 13 children and 3 sets of twins.
Wow.
And my mother and her brother were the eldest. And her brother was co-writer with Nat Cole. My mother,
Nat King Cole, or is this different?
the one and only Nat King Cole.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, I come from a long line of musicians. There's Archie Bell on one side, there's Donny Hathaway on another side. That's a distant cousin. Jean Baptiste is just found out is a cousin. Found out through Ancestry.com,
Wow.
and yeah, through Henry Louis Gates Jr. But so the music was always prevalent. Always, we'd sit on the porch, you know, at night, fanning off the mosquitoes, singing church songs or singing, you know, whatever we could sing, as long as it didn't have too much of a twang to it, as my grandfather would say, you know. But you know, here's the funny thing: my grandmother had this. We had this record, this record. What do you call it? Record player, and it was one of those like Susie Maker type of. It's like when they used to make these little record players for children. So we had all of the latest stuff, but my grandmother used to hide it. So when my grandfather would leave, she would pull that thing out, and we all be in the living room cutting the rugs, all that stuff. And then we'd have a watch out. Okay, here comes Daddy, and we'd hide that stuff and act like nothing was happening. But he knew.
I mean, with such a heritage, especially out in New Orleans, what was the reason for moving out west?
Storms. Because my family moved. My dad moved from that area to Baton Rouge, and then they settled in Zachary, Louisiana, but even that was still underwater. And then my mother's side family, because we were in northern Louisiana, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Shreveport, Monroe, Ruston, that area was kind of up, so we didn't experience the floods and that kind of thing in that area. So, the way it was, we had instruments, and whatever was left in the corner, if you didn't get to it fast enough, that's what you ended up playing.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing multiple instruments, and then went back to school, went to HBCU that I'm very proud of, Grambling State University. I am an alumnus of Grambling State University, shall I say again. Very proud to be a Gramblinite. And I matriculated in just about everything you could think of, student union to music to sports. I just kind of did it all because when I got to Grambling, where it was interesting because I got to see all of my colleagues and all of my fellow students look like me, and everyone was just there for a purpose, and that was to get down. And we were taught at the HBCU when I was going there in the 70s that you had to be 10 times better than your white counterpart just to get to the door, not to even get in.
Wow.
So we were drilled. I matriculated in a 5-year music program there, whereas most institutions were doing semester in 4 years. So I would say that I got a very, very long, intense education. And most of my professors were all in the industry. They were writing for Earth, Wind & Fire, Barry White, James Brown. They were teachers of the Crusaders, Joe Sample. So I had a really good education at Grambling State University.
Where is Grambling State University? What state is it in?
It's in Louisiana, in Grambling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
North Louisiana, between Shreveport and Monroe, right smack in the middle.
Okay. Okay. I went to Concordia College in Selma, so it's so I had my taste of an HBCU out in Alabama before. So briefly.
So, did you get to bridge?
Pardon?
Did you get to walk the bridge?
No. So ours was a small college, and Selma was still Selma. The same mayor of 62 was still the mayor when I was out there in '92. So, yeah, it's that's a whole different story. Going to college from England to Selma. Now, because I'm going to get around to everybody, but just continuing from graduating. Now, if you've got a family who are writing and singing and performing, is there a sense that, okay, that's pretty much my path, I'm going to become a recording artist, and was that what you were thinking after you finished college?
There was never ever a time that I wasn't musical. Don't get me wrong, I've taken all kinds of jobs. I mean, Jesus. I did 7 years in the United States Army. I was married before. We now have 4 grown children. So there were a cadre of jobs that I had, but I always had the music going, no matter what. So in this family, we don't say music is something that we do. Music is who we are. So if that's the case, then you're never without music, or you're never not participating or doing or writing or producing. So, that's just, it's not even second nature. It's not even first nature. It's just who I am. So regardless of what I've done, I've taught school, taught in the public school system. I've taught in private school systems. I've taught on the collegiate level. And I've taught various courses other than music, but always musical. I also have a theater background. So I have a bachelor's degree in theater as well as music. So I've just always been, that's just been who I am. I mean, I can't remember when I was not.
Okay. And so, Mama C, what about your background? You're from the Bay Area?
Yes, from the Bay Area. I grew up about 20 minutes outside of San Francisco in San Mateo. I didn't grow up musical per se. I grew up doing, I was a figure skater for most of my
Okay.
Professional figure skater.
and I did it professionally, and I coached. And I was coaching figure skating when I met my darling, my husband. But I grew up also in dance, doing ballet, what they call jazz, modern. But my connection with music was more in physical. And I didn't I really didn't find my path in music until I was an adult. So now that I teach music, I can really identify with my students that start at a later age. I also know how it is to not have a naturally developed ear. When I would hear harmony, I would think it was something like magic. And when I was 21 when I met my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time. I really, the way I got into music was really by accident. And
Freud says there are no.
yeah, there are. But it's a long story, but I was really hoping to be a dental hygienist in college. And I had to take an elective course in order to transfer. And it was History of Jazz taught by Dr. Fred Berry. And I was in there just to really, okay, I need to get this class done just so I can transfer and do what I got to do. But that was, in that class, it was in this beautifully acousticized, is that the word? Hall, and had surround sound. And he turned off the lights and had us close our eyes. And he played Ella Fitzgerald. That was the very first time I heard her sing. And when I heard her, it was hard to describe. It enveloped me.
Wow.
I became very emotional. I had chills. I felt embarrassed because I literally was welling up with tears because I couldn't believe how beautiful it sounded. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, some people sing like this? So, I mean, all I knew was like, I was a hip hop kid. I loved rap. So hip hop and rap was everything to me. So singing to me was like, what was the guy from Head of State? This is this stuff. It's really I can't remember his name right now, but it was like anybody that's Nate Dogg. Yeah. So any type of singing I heard, it was like hooks on a record or something like that, on a rap track. So when I heard that, I remember just leaving campus because I didn't want to do anything except go to Tower Records. I picked up as much as my little cost plus world market cashier job could afford me in Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan records that they had there. And I just became obsessed. And so what I started doing was going to, in between classes, if I had a break, I would go to a music room, a practice room where the pianos were, and I would just kind of pick out melodies, not knowing what I was doing, and I would just sing them. And then somebody walked by and he was like, oh, you sing? Do you want to be in my band? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but sure, whatever. And I would always say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just singing along with you guys, whatever. So they were known as the Bash Brothers, and they're a beloved family here in the Bayview.
Bash Brothers, awesome.
And they have, his dad is a pastor, Pastor Stephen Bailey, and they have their own church, Olivet. So I started going to their services every once in a while. Now, mind you, I grew up in a very white church. I grew up Mormon. So, of course, my family was upset that I was going to a Black Baptist church a lot. But, I mean, I was having so much fun. I couldn't believe it. And the singing. And then, so when I went there, there was a woman named Cassandra. And she gave me my first forms of, like, how you should breathe and how you should sing. And I remember loving it so much. And then after a few performances with our band, someone who was helping me out by the name of Helen met Maestro, and she was like, you know what? This is someone you need to talk to, and you'll get voice lessons, and you can develop your voice. Now, mind you, I never thought of myself as being some star. I really fell in love with the art. I fell in love with studying it. I fell in love with just how it changed my life, how it changed how I felt about myself. And when I met my husband, that's when my musical world just opened up for me, and I just became a student. I filled up these notebooks of singers, and not only about what they did musically, but where they were from, what they liked, what their favorite things were, and yes, history. And during this time, I completely split from the church I was going to, much to the devastation of my family. But I was also ostracized. My friends, I didn't have my friends that I thought were my friends anymore. And still talking about it is still kind of tough. But it really, I made I call it, and they were musicians and artists. And so leaving home and finding refuge in a community of artists really saved me. And so when I think of my journey through music, it's all been through what I call just complete faith. And when you become disillusioned by a particular belief system that you really hold high, it can be devastating. But what I did have was prayer. And so what I had to, even though I had nothing, I was like, I have prayer and I have my own relationship with God. So I would always, every nudge and everything that felt instinctual, I would follow it. And it led me to my husband. And music and my husband and our life is basically along the alignment of faith in ourselves. And that was kind of a deal. Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Wow. I mean, hearing that type of story and journey of having to make that kind of choice, it's kind of rare for most people to think about leaving the comfort of a family and a structure to follow your own heart and dreams. And very few of us will take that leap. And when you start to say that this was something that you only just took a class just to move to a different career, and then all of a sudden you got transformed, that's it sounds more like destiny, other than just almost like a mistake. It just felt like, wow. On reflection, many years later, how much has changed from the fallout? Has it been full circle and everyone's like, well, because we knew you were going to make it?
Wow. Well, it's been an interesting journey in that way, where, my mother came back around when the children came. Because it's like, how could you not, right? And so in that respect, that was great. But my extended family, it wasn't until I was on TV, on America's Got Talent, then started feeling this flood of support, where when we were struggling during really difficult times, there was this coldness that I feel it's still really painful. So I would say I would hope now, with seeing success, that it can turn into something more genuine and superficial. So I'm hoping it will become that. But as of now, it's all good. I guess that's all I can say.
I think, if anyone, I think people who watch my interviews know that a big part of why I do this really is to inspire others. And so from everyone who's come on, they've gone through their ups and downs, and it's for others around the world who watch in, and they say, well, if this happens to them, there's hope and continue. So it's so I really appreciate both of you for being able to be vulnerable, because, as I said, this is really for others who listen and will be inspired. Now, when you guys came together, I got my. Did you guys then have an idea of what you were going to do with music, or was it just like a, you know, and you probably got, when you guys, okay, we've got married now, so are we going to be the next? No, I was not going to say.
Well,
No, so you were on tour. He was coming off tour because he was in such demand. So he was actually, you were actually taking a break from touring actually when
yeah, I
I
was
met
tired.
you. Yeah.
I was tired of eating food and hotels. And I needed to cook some Louisiana food for myself. And so I just hooked up with my aunts who were living local, and you know, was like tired of being on the road. I need some real food, so I decided to set up headquarters here in San Francisco in a way that I had not before, because I was looking at my connection with the industry. I think I began to start taking it a little more serious because I was in demand, and I could see that it was opening up all these different avenues, and I put together my own production company, blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, that's kind of how it evolved, if you want to say. And then from that point, when my wife came into my life, I was on Earth, Wind and Fire's label. I was Maurice White, Earth, Wind and Fire, the great legend himself, produced one of my first records. He actually was executive that I produced with my band Expression, all Bay Area musicians. Well, actually, one was from St. Louis, tight guitar player, Anthony Michael Pearson. Anyway, so, you know, I had established myself, and then when my wife came into my life, it was just such a natural thing because she just stepped right in and just kind of took over the things that needed to be taken care of on the heck of it, as well as I began to teach. We began to take on American Idol rejects who came to us, and we actually started an artist development situation with artists to help them to get their, you know, mend their broken wings for one thing, but to help them feel good about themselves and understand that it's not about Hollywood. I mean, if you're in this because you love this, you should be in it because you love it. Right. Fortune, rainbow gold at the end of the rainbow. That's not what this is about. If you're serious about your art, so we began developing acts here in the Bay Area, and as I said, we were mending the broken wings of American Idol participants who would go on there and be rejected. So, and then it became a fun thing, you know, and I think in the process of artist development, my wife really floored this, you know, understood how this all works. And, you know, we're all martial artists as well. I teach martial arts and self-defense. And what my sensei used to always, my Shihan used to tell me, if you really want to learn something, teach it. And so she began to teach. And in that teaching, she had to do all this research and really hone her craft. And this is why she's good. She's probably my top student that I've ever had. And I've had a
So as in terms of your question, like as a plan of what we were doing, I never had the intention of being a front person. I really, like my husband was alluding to, I really enjoyed teaching and cultivating and just when I could see the lights come on in somebody, that was so rewarding for me. And I loved that my husband had this network and locally of about 100-something musicians. So if he needed a big band, he could do a small septet or a quartet. So he always had such a great relationship with this network of artists that he created the jazz hieroglyphics with. So, which includes some of the top Bay Area musicians, including Juan Escovedo of the famous Escovedo family, Larry Douglas, who we're going to have over soon. He was the music director for Ray Charles and Shuggie Otis and list goes on. Winford Williams,
with
Mickey Howard, so his band, yeah.
Howard, Bill
So-
Norwood, who's been with everybody.
Yeah. So I felt so spoiled, and I still feel spoiled because I knew how it was as a vocalist to be backed by amazing musicians. And so what I used to do when my husband, he's like, Nola, you got to get out there and perform. What I used to do is I would get out and perform, and I would close my eyes, and as soon as I was done, I would run backstage and hide. And there was a life-changing event where my husband gets approached with, we need some music for Speakeasy. Do you have musicians? And then he was like, of course. And my husband was like, look, we need to keep the money in the family, so you're going to have to do it. I love costumes, and just from me growing up in dance, so I was like, I love the costume part. But having to get up in front of people, but it was about 3 years of when they were really small. If we couldn't find a babysitter, they would be backstage, and they got familiar with some of the dancers, the actors that would frequent the Speakeasy, because it was an immersive theater experience. So, that really brought me out of my shell. And then we, as parents, we weren't planning on having the children really do music at this level. It took to really open our eyes. Papa Pete and Mama Pete, pops and moms, Escovedo, when we went to his birthday party in 2015 or 18? 2015. It was his birthday party at Yoshi's, and we were talking with the family, and the family has known them since Zahara was really little. So they're like, how are their children? And we were like, they're fine. And he was like, so are they getting into music? I was like, no. And he was like, what are you talking about? How do you think I kept up with Sheila and with Juan and Peter Michael? I knew where they were on weekends. They were playing or rehearsing with us. And I was like,
The light bulb.
that's
went
brilliant.
on, both of us at the same time.
Yeah. And then so anytime we do anything, we always show love for Pops and Moms Escovedo, because that really changed our lives. What's funny about that, we didn't know that the children had already been picking up tinkering with instruments.
They've been soaking it in.
Yeah, they had been already. And they were always at rehearsals. Because
That's another story. You might want to ask them that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Zahara, is that right?
Yeah.
You're the oldest, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
What was the first instrument that you picked up?
My first instrument, it was actually the flute. I picked that up in elementary school, but I had a really mean flute teacher, so I didn't. Yeah, and I was a pretty slow learner, so she didn't really have patience for me. But yes, I didn't do flute much. And then after that, in middle school, I played the viola for 3 years in orchestra. And then eventually, after graduating the violin and started taking lessons at the school that my parents teach at, the Community Music Center. And yeah, I was just always playing and fiddling around with stringed instruments. Eventually I did, at that time when I was doing viola, I did play ukulele, and then I eventually got into the guitar. Then those just became my two main instruments, the guitar and violin. So yeah, that's what I play.
But as kids, and this is open to the rest of you guys, was it pressure to play because your parents were into music, or did you feel as if I want to go do something else, play basketball or play video games?
Exactly, and it wasn't like just my parents pushing it because we just naturally were into that as well, especially like growing up, being always, at least me and my brother, and eventually when they were born, and when they were doing gigs, especially when my father was in the jazz hieroglyphics, speakeasy gigs as well, and also when both my parents would play with their band, and that was just something that just came naturally. And my parents were always, they always pushed like individuality and what we wanted to do, and that just, for some reason, it just came about that we all just wanted to play music. But we did do sports too. We were always welcome whatever we wanted to do, as long as it was fun.
Okay. I mean, who plays the bass out of the four, five of you? Okay. So who's your bass inspiration?
Well, my bass inspiration is my dad right here.
Good answer.
Outside of, there's all kinds of people, mainly James Jamerson.
Oh, James.
And recently, when it comes to slap, I'd say like Larry Graham and Marcus Miller and Victor Wooten. And recent players, I'd say
Thundercat.
Okay. But do you play the bass and the drums, or who else plays the drums? Okay. So was it pick of straws and you got the drums, or did you always want the drums?
I just gravitated towards them. I just gravitated towards them. They're actually the first. It's actually the first instrument I've actually played.
Okay. And do you have any musical influences to your drums?
Number one is always my daddy, Papa C.
He's gonna have dinner tonight. So is this? No, I'm just saying that. Did you hope you didn't get them to always point to you so that they can eat tonight or something? Sorry, go ahead. Number two is who?
Number two is my Uncle Winford. He's an awesome drummer. I took a lot of inspiration from him. Number three would be Papa Joe Jones. There's two Philly Joe Jones. They're both from Philadelphia, but the old Jones is my favorite.
Bad dude there. Ooh, Lord.
Wow. But as a drummer, what musical inspirations do you lean towards?
Musical inspirations?
Yeah, I mean, as a drummer, is it? I mean, is it different, say, rock type of inspirations, or hip hop, or or jazz? I mean,
I always like to play a lot of everything. I've played a lot of rock and I played a lot of jazz, but I mostly love playing funk most. A lot of Larry Graham's.
Okay. And now, who does when it comes to lead guitar, or is it acoustic? Who plays that?
Well, both my sister and I, Kiki and we both switch off playing rhythm and lead, and we both do electric and acoustic.
Okay.
Kiki, he's a left-handed guitarist that way. So.
You gotta speak to it.
Is it different being a left-handed guitarist?
Not really.
You would know the difference. Okay. But for yourself, I mean, any inspirations for you when playing the guitar?
For me, in terms, well, obviously my parents first. My mom, I say like story and like Rosetta Stark. Mostly, like ever since I was younger, I watched her documentaries like multiple, and it was like really inspiring, especially her being a woman in like the 50s. and her playing and what she was saying, how she says she doesn't need a man, I can play better than a man. I don't know. So yeah, I'd say her and like Jimi Hendrix and Green Grant, personally. That like yeah.
Great.
Is it much different than when you play acoustic compared to electric then?
Not really in my opinion, but in terms of like acoustic, I really like playing Spanish guitar because it's really just like fun, and I wouldn't say it's easy, but like I just really enjoy it because it's really it's just fun.
Okay. And then when it comes to keyboards, does that who plays the keyboards? Okay. And who is your inspiration around playing the keyboards?
Well, I like Monk, but obviously my dad, because he was all of our first teachers, and I used to watch him play a lot. I like Monk. I like Hazel Scott.
Hazel Scott. Yeah.
But I also listen to horn players too. Bird.
Donald Byrd.
Yeah. Charlie
Charlie Parker.
Parker.
Yeah.
Charlie Parker and
Two birds.
yeah.
So, but outside of so as a kid, so are you guys in bands in school, and other places, or is it pretty much your science exclusively to the family band?
We're homeschooled.
Okay.
Curtis Quantum's University.
And I did play in orchestra. My brother. No, remember you played in cello.
I played
No, he
cello
played-
and
he played-
trombone.
Yeah, but he played. Didn't you play in a band? No,
Jazz.
jazz band. No.
No,
I played-
we're really young.
I played bass. I did,
Speak up, dude.
but I mostly did trombone and cello at school and orchestra.
Yeah. So that was like our little like glimpses of like, I guess, playing with other people. This situation is much easier because I don't have to deal with new people. So I like.
But as a kids, do you guys do stuff by yourselves? The five of you just playing something different that's outside of mom and dad.
Like, do you mean like in terms of like stuff that we like playing? I guess.
No, I mean not taking away that you don't like what your mom and dad play, but just like I mean, you just do the five of you just hang out and say, well, let's just try and do this hip hop track or do this jazz, this country track. I don't know. I mean, just or do you have a case in point, New Edition? All six of them do their thing, and then there's Belle Biv DeVoe, there's Johnny. So within the family, there could be little groups, little splinters of you just gravitating to playing stuff that the three of you.
Let me jump in here because I want to make it very clear. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you've been offered millions of dollars to take them and make another Jackson 5. This is a family band, and we are very stern about that. And people have these misconceptions of what they think we should be. They think that mom and dad are controlling. That's not what this is about. What this is about family. And it's about how the family has been decimated with some sort of intention to deep what family represents in this country and somewhat around the world. And so our purpose here is to reinstate the power of the family. And so we want to make that very clear. And I cannot be more clear than I'm saying that right now. So yeah, they jam on their own. In fact, it's required because that's the only way they're going to grow and expand. So I had to step in there because we're always confronted with these kinds. And it's when we were on America's Got Talent, it was this picture of us was painted that was weird, like we're making them stay in the back room and practice this stuff. This is them. And we are a family unit. We run our family like a business. We have weekly meetings. As I said, music is not what we do, it's who we are. And so all of them are aspiring physically to do. So I had to jump in there because sometimes these questions get a little weird for me, and I have to make sure. And I want them to respond to that.
Yes, I want to
Yeah, go
add on.
ahead.
I want to add on that. Can I add on that?
Yeah.
There was in AGT, America's Got Talent. Simon Cowell said the parents need to back off and let the children pick the songs.
Yeah.
Comment. He picked the songs
He picked it, we
actually,
didn't pick it.
and
He picked the song, not
the
Yeah.
song. Second episode, he picked the song. So I just want to comment.
Yeah, so
With
our
our- hold on, let me.
Yeah.
I
I thought you were done.
Without our dad, our dad always brought in his bands, and we would always watch them play and get ready for their next gig. And without him, we wouldn't have that, and we wouldn't be able to absorb any kind of music that we have learned today. So I don't want anybody. We were not forced to play. We decided this on our own. We all decided as a family that we would be a band. I just wanted to comment.
Oh, now you can. say
No.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, okay, when were you guys? I didn't realize you guys were on Americans Got. When was this? Was it a long time ago?
This was 2 years ago? Is it 2 years ago? Wait, it was 2021.
2 years ago.
Is there
2 years ago, yeah, it's 2021, 2 years ago. And yeah, an interesting process because they actually hit us up in our DMs on Instagram. And I didn't think it was real.
Yeah,
So,
we're shutting them down.
We kind of ignored it because I was like, you have to try audition for that. And so when I finally answered and called her back, it was one of the producers. So apparently our year, they really scouted for talent. And for people to ask, one person was just the person that auditioned. But it was interesting because we turned them down because they wanted us to do top 40. And even my husband was even willing to like rearrange things, but our children, they don't like top 40 things. I mean, like you heard my son, they love Thundercat and, things,
Mills Brothers.
Mills Brothers. Well, I'm talking about anything
Yeah.
current top 40. So we dropped out, and then they kept calling us, and finally they were like, okay, fine, you guys pick the song. So our audition that made the first episode, that was us. And what was funny is that they left us alone. They let us do whatever we wanted, and they let us dress how like we wanted to dress, and we were really free to do what we wanted to do. Then the second episode, it was kind of an arduous. It was really an arduous type of process. A lot of things were going wrong, and so the second episode, that wasn't our preferred song, but they said that we had a few songs to choose from, and that was the one that the executive producers and Simon wanted. So it was really interesting, but we were happy. What I wish would have happened was I wish they would have cut the camera to us as we were leaving. Eliminated. We were skipping like for joy, like running. We were like, we're free.
Yeah, I was happy to go home as Phoenix and Kiki. They were miserable because they were getting sick because of the environment they were putting us in for practicing because it was just so cold and that's just not really great for your voice. So that just kind of took a toll on them. And it was just it was a really great time. Yeah, but I do appreciate the experience.
Yeah.
And it also fortified what my father was telling us about the industry and about this business because he already predicted, he already knew what was going to happen. because we didn't sign the contract. So yeah, there was just nothing. I guess like it was a great experience.
Oh, so this is probably where those types of suggestions around, can we just have the kids on their own kind of thing, might have been pushed quite a bit, trying to create that type of division. I can imagine that kind of environment would. Okay, wow. No, and you know what, and I think, you know, I've only worked briefly, you know, in the industry, with Tracy Edmonds and Edmonds, but from the interviews, you find out that actually, it might seem like a nice golden path, but it's not all great at the other side, and I think there's a lot of sacrifice for very short term gain, and you know what your dad is saying about, you know what, this isn't, you know, we're not, if you're not doing this to look to pay bills, but you're doing it for the passion and the love, then that's a longer term thing. So, you know, that's probably why there's such a light in what you guys do. And speaking of that, I want to get on to Keep a Positive Mind, because um, it's very rare to have a very inspirational type of upbeat track. I guess it's this. I might be wrong. Elements of reggae, some Nigerian or African high life, and some jazz. But I don't know if I'm just making it up. I mean, can you tell me what's the combo in the song?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Before you said it was a single. Before it's actually part of.
Oh yeah, he knows that.
Yeah. So check this out. I wrote that song 40 years ago.
Okay.
And I was in college, and I was working on my master's degree.
And you look good.
Yes. I had gone to Berkeley and got disillusioned at Berkeley, so I was saying I don't want to be here. So I went back to my alma mater, went back to Grambling. And my roommate was Robert Thomas at the time, and I'm never weird about this. I wrote the song. He was looking in the refrigerator, and I had gone out and gotten some crawfish. And I'll never forget this. He immediately got on the phone with his mother and told her that I had scorpion meat in the refrigerator. That just comes to mind when I wrote this song, Keep a Positive Mind. And so it didn't even have this kind of feeling. Mom suggested that we put a reggae twist on it.
It was a dare. It was really a dare because I loved that song, and I was like, let me see. I was like, and I did it like a suggestion, but I was like, let's see what he does with it. And when he came back with it, I was like, because the original Phoenix loves the original Positive Mind, because it's so hip, and but it would definitely be more classified in, if we were to label it so-called jazz fusion.
Yeah.
But the way he flipped it into reggae, and I kind of said it like as a dare, I was astounded, and it's one of my favorite tracks on our album. And for our first music video, I was just like, I love the track so much and what he did with it. I was like, we got to do this first.
So, you know, what's interesting about that is that I actually have Jamaican roots. On my dad's side, my grandfather's people are known as Ocho Rios now. And I got to meet some of my cousins a long time ago from Kingston. So it's, so there is some authenticity there through bloodline. And that song really came to life when my wife suggested it as a result of what people needed during the pandemic. You know, we were part of the first responders who went out in the community with the other first responders in the medical profession, and we were taking groceries, and then after we take them to groceries, we would sing them songs, and you know, to see their faces light up or see the tears roll down their eyes because they were desolate. They were desperate, and they were in their homes locked up by themselves in fear, didn't know what was going to happen, but we were able to bring some light. We are community activists, by the way, so we're pro community in our city.
Yeah, and what I loved was the children were they were so willing, more than willing and happy to help. So what it was we partnered with Mother Brown's in the Bayview here in our community.
Gwen Westbrook.
With Gwen Westbrook. And so there was like a caravan of vans holding groceries. We had a keyboard and speakers and mics. So the children would help deliver grocery bags in the middle of the street and with our speaker, and then we would sing. And we at first, you guys thought it was just kind of fun, right? Like
Yeah,
this
that
is
was
fun.
fun. We did that every
Yeah.
day for like
Every
a month.
day. No, that was longer.
No, every day for a month.
Every day for a couple
single
months.
day.
We did that every day for 3 months.
It was 3 months straight.
But even
I'm glad
before-
you thought it was short though,
But
but
even
it was.
before that, we were at IT Bookman
Mhm.
doing it every day for a while
Yeah.
with Felicia Tippett.
Yeah, and then every
Because we started
Saturday,
first.
yeah, and then on every
Felicia
Saturday,
Tippett,
every Saturday they would, we would also, volunteer at the food bank at our church, Jones Methodist. Now, the reason we did that every Saturday during the pandemic, well, 2 years straight, this is the reason why. There were only 4 of our elders of the church, only 4, that would be responsible for feeding hundreds of people in the community in the Fillmore district.
Yeah.
When we saw that, because we happened to have to be at the building, 7 of us, we are going every week. And then now I'm happy to say we don't have to go every week because there's like
There's
30
a bunch of people.
yeah, there are
Yeah.
30 volunteers.
Yeah, we're in the way now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's actually become a community event because like they play bingo. We
Yeah.
play for fun little prizes.
ISIS has bingo rivalries with some seniors.
Yeah.
Miss Swift, if she's watching or listening, I've won 6 times in a row.
So it became like a more of a. I'm very proud that the children, they loved singing for like if it was just 2 people that would open their windows when groceries would be delivered, or if it was the entire neighborhood that would come out, wearing masks. We would make sure that we were standing far away from people singing, and I'm speaking personally for me. I couldn't believe what it meant to people.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just like, oh, we're just singing. But when we saw tears, when we saw people that said they hadn't left their house, and Meals on Wheels was the only person that they would see on a bi-weekly basis, that how much it meant that we were there, that really, it just cut to the core of it cut to the core. It really did. And what I loved about the children, it gave them this reality check. This you guys really grew up.
Well, we
During
also
the time.
Matured.
Yeah, we also connected with a lot of people. Like what my mom has said, we met so many people that like either like one of their family members or like one of their daughters died, and it just happened that we just came around them that felt like another like healing moment for them at that time, or just people who we just got to meet that reminded them of us, of their children who have passed. Just connecting in that way for them, that was really heartwarming and heartfelt for me, that I just really enjoyed about that process.
Yeah. So with all of that happening, and then they got to see what can really come of art, right? The healing that can come from that. And then we're approached by America's Got Talent. And then we go into this Hollywood TV thing and how fun. But there's nowhere, you can't compare the actual connection to your fellow man and then you have TV. So what I loved about them was they could place TV as what it was. There's an entertainment format. It's money,
Mm.
and we can get our exposure, but they knew their purpose as artists and as members of their community. And that's, I mean, they've even told me that was a lot of fun, or oh, that was so great, and they might have sung for like 3 people, and then on America's Got Talent, we were seen by millions, and it was fun, but they can separate it.
But to keep a positive mind up even a little, to get deeper into that. I lost my job. We had our home. We lost our house during the crisis, the housing crisis, and we ended up homeless. We went through our savings. We were living in hotels, living in our van. When our van broke down, we lived in our friend's van.
Uncle Diane.
7 people. And keep a positive mind was our mentality. That was it. That's why that song is such an anthem for us. And there was not a doubt at any time, even when talking to them, that we weren't going to come up out of that. I think the most compelling night was one night, I think it was Iceland. I think they thought it was an adventure for a while because they were young. And Isis said, "Daddy, are we homeless?" And I remember I was holding onto the wheel, clutching it real tight to keep from letting tears roll down my eyes, because I'm not a very emotional dude when it comes to the tear thing. But it seems like the older I get, I'm becoming more like that. But I was holding on to the steering wheel. I was literally shaking to keep from crying in front of them. And about it was that I think we were sitting in front of the church.
It was in front of
It was the church
Macedonia.
parking lot.
Macedonia.
Yeah, so it was interesting because, people knew, they had an idea what was going on with us. And a lot of people around us really, they were horrible.
They kicked us while we were
They
down.
would kick us while we were down. It
That was
you
crazy.
know, and we never presented ourselves as homeless. We had places where we take shots. I really knew,
Yeah, we could go to my mom's and
yeah.
shower and
But it was, I think some people suspected it. And, it wasn't until my dear friend, Ricardo Scales, who's known as the Black Liberace of the world in the Bay Area, took us in, took 7 people in until we got back on our feet. We stayed with him for, what, 3 months.
Oh, it was 3
3
months.
To stay with him for 3 months until we got back on our feet. Positive mind always rings in my head when I think about that, because I don't know, they can speak for themselves, but for me, because I'm so strong in my conviction, there was never a time when I was down and felt like we weren't going to come up out of this.
And we were both working, which is, a lot of people, they have this stigma against if they see families that are homeless, that they're not working. We were working.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about that. And, that's why when we say friends, if you're a friend, you're family.
Yeah.
Because we had family.
Even bigger than family.
Yeah,
Some family
it's
members are horrible.
So, what I loved about Ricardo and Joanna, they took in 7 people. Now there's two adults and 5 small children, but they never made us feel like we were in the way, which is huge
It's a
because
small house.
it was so small house. But Ricardo was like, I know what you guys, and what was funny, he was kind of irritated that he was like, I found out I'm getting bunk beds. You guys are making room in this small room, but y'all gonna have a roof over your head. And so that's why when we have, we need a picture of Ricardo. So when we have people like the
Uncle Jair,
Uncle Jair, the Escobedos,
Hills,
Grandma, yeah.
Grandma,
Yeah.
Paul. I mean,
Yeah. So it's
we got
these are
nicely.
we have like in our in our album, we have a commemorative CD where people they sent me messages like, "Oh my gosh, the amount of thank yous you guys have in your in the jacket." We actually didn't have enough room, so the print is so small, and it's because of that. So when you see the tears that I'm always crying now, but on America's Got Talent, when I just release all these tears, I'm just crying. It's because that was all going through my mind. Being homeless, being kicked while we were down, the pandemic, and then being on that stage and seeing people on their feet. All of that was coming to the front. And I'm glad they never aired this, but we were actually interviewed and it came up during the show before our first audition. And that was the first time my husband and I actually talked about it. Because even amongst each other, it was just, he and I, we're both soldiers in that way, where it's just like, just get the grind, get the hustle, we're going to come up out of this. And we didn't talk about it. So I would imagine the show has footage of me just, oh my gosh, I was ugly crying. I was like, because it was the first time I'd ever talked about it. So I'm glad they never aired it. So yeah.
Keep a positive mind.
Yeah, keep a positive
Has
mind.
a lot to do with that.
Yeah, a lot.
Well, as a therapist, I'm always intrigued by hearing these types of stories. As I said, I started this channel during the pandemic as a way of getting people to speak about the inspiration to get other people who are struggling to feel inspired. And and you guys have presented the exact same thing, because there are people around the world who are going through what you guys went through and feel like they're alone. And so I'm really appreciative that you guys have been open and vulnerable in front of us today. And it's most people might just see you guys sing and might not realize, oh, I can't, that's see
this?
You used adjust.
It says never give up.
Is it backwards?
never give up.
It's
Okay, it is backwards. Yeah, that's it's never give up. Yeah, no, but you can now understand the importance of a unit, and how as you are passionately defending and protecting your family, because when you guys were down and in trenches, it was just the seven of you around. And it's people can comment and say, well, why don't you do this, and here's all this, but they didn't see the dark side, and people weren't there to support in those times. So it's really good that you've been able to share that. I know that the keep a positive mind is it the first single of the new album coming up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, Phoenix and the rest of you guys, are you going to tell me about how many songs we should expect on this album?
I'm here. We've got it here.
She's
13.
grabbing
15.
a copy of it.
Is it? It's 13.
It's
Yeah,
13.
13.
Oh, you're
Oh,
right
right
here.
here.
About that. My bad. It's 13.
Here it is. 13. Well, that's extended.
Yeah.
13.
Okay. And are all songs going to be original, or are they any covers, or what should we expect of them?
They're all, you can stream our album actually. But Keep a Positive Mind was the first music video, but you can stream the entire album. All of the songs are written by Papa C. Papa C though, he was great in having us, hey, I need something here, give me your suggestion, because he didn't want anything to be one dimensional.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is all of us.
all of us are playing on this. But yeah,
Wow.
it's all original. And it's really because I didn't want to do the administrative work in doing any covers.
Okay. You know, the video. Go ahead. So
Well, you know, doing covers is a cliche. You know,
You mean recording it? Because you do that on
yeah.
Monday
I
nights
mean,
every
we
night.
do covers.
Monday night.
That's how you learn. You
Yeah.
gotta absorb those who've gone before you or your contemporaries, so that you stay current with the music, but also that you understand the music itself and where this music comes from. But I didn't want to do, you know, and I talked it over with them. I was like, y'all want to do some standards or some songs that have already been done? And they said, Daddy, you write all this stuff. Let's just already done, and then we can add what we add to it. And,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's kind of where we come from. We believe we have our own statement to make.
Yeah.
And
We have a vault of, I want to say thousands, I haven't counted, of compositions. He has books of, you know, actually, back in the day when they wrote things with pencil and paper.
okay, I can remember.
musical notes. Had to write out the musical notes.
He's got cassettes, we've got CDs, and it's been a lot of fun. There's actually a song that I'm itching to do. Let's make it do. Yeah, we're all anxious to do, but
Actually, I co-wrote that with Hubert Eves of D Train
yeah.
from the East
Oh,
Coast. I
wow.
spent a lot of time with Hubert. He's the second half of D Train.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the writing.
We love that song, and we want that on. We're almost complete. I'm trying. We're all trying to get that song.
Let's make it do.
But you'll find with the second album, we actually are deep into 3 albums total. Actually 4
Wow.
because we have a
Holiday.
We have a holiday album. But we're just getting stuff lined up and things ready. But the thing about this next album is we all are co-writing a lot on there. So
Wow, that's good.
the freshman album, solo album, the first album, just we knew we needed to push the music and get representation of what we do out there. So
Yeah.
that's what we wanted to do with this first record.
Well, and a big part of us having the album out was, you know, post AGT, and it was specifically what the second episode when Howie Mandel said, "Oh, like he was trying to say like we or something
But
like
that's
that."
not what he said when we first got out
Right.
there.
At the first episode, it was "You're
You guys
superstars,"
are superstars.
but then the second
Then
album,
when we didn't sign the contract,
"You're a wedding man," and I was like,
man,
first of all,
put 2 and 2 together.
Elton John plays weddings, so there we go. So
Right.
wedding bands, don't knock wedding bands, they're awesome. But when he said that, there was this, I saw a flurry of things online, like, oh, well, they're a cover band. We are not. So we got this
We're not a
product
cover
out.
band.
So then people saw that it
But there's
was
nothing
all,
wrong with doing cover.
there's nothing wrong with cover bands or tribute bands.
We
We
got some
love
of the
them.
greatest musicians
Shout out.
playing
Yeah.
coffee houses and places
Yeah.
who are not seen.
Yeah, and
Who are
cover
awesome.
bands like
Yeah.
Kalimba. Shout out to Kalimba. We love them. They're a tribute band to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Then,
Oh, I remember.
Oh,
when
yeah, we
In
love
Japantown, I was having right.
Yes,
Wow.
amazing musicians. So, anyways, this album being out, it was really just it's all independent. Obviously, and the family were like, just get it out there, so no one can say that we don't have
right.
material that is written and produced and composed that is the Curtis family.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this was mixed by Sheila E.'s brother,
Peter Michael.
Peter Michael Escobedo, who are the music directors for several talk shows.
He toured with Mariah Carey. He toured
Marvin
with
Gaye,
yeah.
these guys.
Yeah.
Peter Michael.
Peter Michael.
Shout out.
Well, I'm going to be sure that when this goes out, it is live now, but I'll get the link to where it is streaming, and if are people able to order the physical copy as well, or
Yeah, on the site, so you can go to our website. You can
And what's the
purchase
website?
on our website, thecurtisfamilycnotes.com, and you can
Okay.
purchase a commercial CD. So we sign it and mail it out, and you can purchase downloads on our website as well. And our album is also on every streaming platform.
So we want to get your address so we can send you an
We can mail you
autograph
something.
copy with a T-shirt.
Okay. Oh, that would be wonderful. Now, before I get you to guys to, I would hope. I mean, I listened in. Was it on Monday? You played. You'd Never Walk Alone. I was slightly disappointed because I support a team called Liverpool FC, and that's the song that's played every time a match is played in Anfield, our home ground, and it's a little bit different, you know. And so I was like, well, this isn't like our version of You Never Walk Alone, but you know, I like the fact you jazzed it up a bit.
Well,
But
they took the song. That's a Rodgers and Hammerstein
and Hammerstein, yeah, yeah.
American composer. So that's not our fault.
Yeah,
Just
no,
honoring our own American composer.
yeah, yeah. Now, but it'd be great to get you guys to play one or two things. You know, for people to recognize you guys. But I had two questions. The first is, whose idea was it to get the afros? Because it's really good. It's trademark.
Niall was
Niall
the
started
first.
it. Yes, Niall was the first.
Yeah.
At the time, it's been like I think like 7-ish years since I went natural, and my brother kind of inspired me to go with my had a fro, and then
And it was me.
Isis,
And then it was
and then
Phoenix.
Phoenix, and
and
then
Kiki.
Kiki came along.
Yeah.
So we all just.
Wow. Is there ever a competition to see who grows the biggest?
I like mine short, so.
I think her.
Between these two,
She hasn't
I'm
picked
trying to
it.
get the biggest.
Yeah, she hasn't picked
Oh,
it out yet.
yeah.
So what's funny is when they were all small, I would just keep their hair braided because I didn't know what to do. So I was like, look, I'll just braid their hair, and they still speak of their braiding. And
I had a natural eyebrow length, but yeah, eventually I became the hairstylist, so they don't have to have any PTSD.
See, she liked the wig.
See, Kiki liked the wig, and
Yeah,
that's
I just have a
Okay. Okay. Now this is so. Before I get you played, so the question I always ask all my guests at the end is that if you were stuck, and this is going to be individually because there's 7 of you, so I get 7 answers. So if you're stuck in an elevator and it is going to take 2 hours or 3 hours to get you out, what movie are you watching while you're waiting? So okay, yeah. So okay, you can go in order. Okay, you can go by the youngest, and then we can go all the way up to your dad. Okay, who's going to start?
Money Talk.
I knew it.
Money talks. Okay, okay. Go ahead.
Chris Tucker as well.
Oh, it's the Chris Tucker theme. Okay.
It's
Or,
always
Okay.
or the
Jackie Chan.
second or third Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire.
Or I watched
Okay.
Just Visiting is good.
Really good.
Namdi, have
Just
you
Visiting.
watched Just Visiting?
No, but who's in that?
Oh, it's so good. Christina, it's a movie from the 80s. It's Christina Applegate, Jean Reno, and yeah, there's a few others, but those are the main stars. It's one of our favorite films.
Okay, okay, okay.
Money Talks, Rush Hour.
Just visiting.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2 and 3.
Okay. No, you go. You go.
Okay, I would do. I need time to think. Go.
Oh no.
I did the first Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Is that the first Black Panther you said?
The first
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu
Oh, Kung Fu Panda. Okay, yes.
can I have a 1A and a 1B?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
I think mine would probably be Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog Day is
Okay,
so
Bill. Okay.
I think I just love well-written stuff. because I also have a theater background. I love a lot of Denzel stuff, but it would have to be some TV episodes. It would be all the episodes of Frasier.
Okay.
I got. Wait, is that, are you ready?
The original Planet of the Apes with Charles.
Okay.
Because of the social commentary.
He falls asleep to Planet of the Apes. I have no idea how he does that. Strange film.
So weird. So are you ready?
I'd say my favorite Chris Rock film, Head of State.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good.
Okay.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Namdi, that's a good
I can
one.
rescind mine.
Um,
But yeah, that's cool.
Namdi, because you're from the UK, and this is one of my favorite films, and it's based in the UK. Patrick, and it's about a dog.
Patrick is really
Bruh, no.
Something
Yes,
like that.
the little dog. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I was obsessed with that movie. I love that movie.
Okay.
But I think it's because Namdi's in the UK. And Namdi, I gotta say something. I found your channel because you had El DeBarge on there. And then I then followed you on Instagram and Facebook. But what I love is how you really honor artists.
Yeah.
And these are artists that happen to have become
Icons.
icons. And you know, you had Karen White on there,
Oh,
Shanice. You have artists on there that, you know, a lot of people in current times celebrating them enough.
Yep.
And you have created a platform that honors their artistry, and people get to know them, their stories, and then what they're doing now. And you know, you could really spend a lot of time on your channel, and I've gone down this rabbit hole, and you know, especially when you had one of the, is it Timmy Gatling?
Yes, Timmy.
A
good.
guy.
Yeah.
And I love the great questions you ask, the platform that celebrates artistry
True artistry.
in a day where we're celebrating a lot of
We don't know what
mediocrity.
we're celebrating today.
And yeah, so thank you. And it's really an honor when you expressed interest on having us. I was just like, really, us? So that really means a lot, and we all appreciate what you do, and thank you.
Yeah, I will appreciate.
Particularly in an era, I just want to say this particular era where we defend stupidity and we celebrate mediocrity. These artists that you have been having on your show, these are people who pay dues. These are people who understood what it was and what it is to do what it is that we do at a very high level and at a very high frequency, because we know that it's about connection with the people, with our artistry, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I last week I spoke with Charles Wright from who wrote "Express Yourself," and he's in his 80s, and yeah, the only time, you know, I was honest to him that, you know, I know "Express Yourself" because of NWA. I didn't know about his legacy and his background, but hearing him talk
Charles
about
Wright, Los Angeles,
yes, Charles Wright.
from the 100
100, yeah, 103rd, yes, that's it.
Wow.
Yes,
what a big person that.
and you know, and hearing him talk about growing up on a plantation, you know, because he's 84, so he's grew up in the South, and how, and listening to the and he says the music industry was no different from growing up on a plantation, you know.
Right.
But you know, so there isn't a, you know, yeah, I've interviewed Beyonce's dad, but I'd love to interview Beyonce, but then it's not the point is to really celebrate the stories. And so interviewing you guys, it's the stories of making it through hard times and still having the family as the nucleus of whatever you do. that's what I celebrate, and so it's every story is as important as the other. So that's why I appreciate the fact that you guys came on, but also that you were very open. And as I said, it's as I said, being a full-time therapist, it doesn't matter how tough a story is. I know how to just keep quiet and listen and just enjoy the process. So I appreciate you guys being open. My final question, because as I said, every guest has to answer this, is favorite song. So we can go back in order. Yeah, everybody, not your own, not your own. You remember every single person who's been on my show, whether it's Elle to Timmy to Karen to God knows who, have all had their favorite song, and which is not their own. So so everyone individually can just give me a favorite song. Who wants to go first?
You know, that's a very hard question for any musician or any artist because
Yeah,
Today. On today.
no, there is no favorite song.
No, just
today.
today. Like,
Not for me.
just
Yeah.
an hour.
Let
A
me
minute.
just say it like that, like this. That's like saying who's better, Monk or Charlie Parker or Dizzy Gillespie. You know, it's like
Oh yeah. So
that's
okay,
kind of like
so-
choosing. All of it comes through Black humanity and the tragedy that we had to experience. And every song affects you in different ways for different situations that's needed in your life. So to have one favorite song, that's almost an impossibility. As an artist, I have to say that. Well, I'm just saying,
Still by the second.
if you say one of your favorite songs,
Look what you did on there.
Okay, go ahead.
One of your favorite songs, then I may be able to say, okay,
Okay, what's one of your favorite songs?
One of your favorite songs.
so, one of my favorite songs would have to be I Left My Heart in San Francisco, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that song was actually written by a Black man who I actually met. And two cats put their name on that composition, and their name shouldn't be on there.
Wow.
And tragedy. But I think it's one of the most beautifully written arrangements that represents a city. In terms of, you know, when you talk about New York, Chicago, it's well put together. The chord progressions in that song are so beautiful and sophisticated, but melodically, it's just one of the most beautiful songs I've ever experienced. So that would be one of my
One of you. Okay, good.
I left
Who's
my heart.
next?
Oh, am I next? Okay. A song, I'm saying this because this song, while we were homeless, really got me through. And it was Do Your Best by Daryl Coley and Lynette Hawkins. And it's because
Walter Hawkins, yeah.
it's because of the lyrics, it's the way they sing it, and it's today is may never come. What will you do with it? Today is here.
Well, one lyric that
Yeah.
sticks out to me is, so why think of only yourself?
Yeah,
Right.
Once you start reaching out to
to
someone
reaching
else.
out to someone else. Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, I love that song.
That would be one of my favorite songs.
Who's next?
One.
Okay. I would say, because I'm on a Jimi Hendrix tip, so I would say,
Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay.
I've been listening to a lot of Journey right now, but
Wow.
I like, what's the song called? Ask the Lonely by Journey, but if not that, then that Very White song in Money Talks. Everything. Like, I love that song because it's in Money Talks.
I love seeing You're My First, My Last, My Everything. Okay.
Oh, so it either has to be Crosstown Traffic by Jimi Hendrix or Nutbush City Limits by
Hey,
Tina
Tina Turner.
Turner.
No.
Okay.
Well, my favorite song I'd say at the moment that I've been listening to a lot is "The Girl Is Mine" by Michael Jackson. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
You're
that's cute.
Paul McCartney, who's from England.
Yeah, well, he's from Liverpool. I'm from Liverpool as well. So Liverpool, the Beatles are from Liverpool. Yeah, go ahead, no.
Okay, so it'll either be this one Journey song called "Still They Ride" off of their Escape album, or this one Tupac song. It's the one that samples.
Keep it up.
Yeah, "Keep Your Head Up" by Tupac.
Okay.
I like the messages.
Oh, okay. I like the diversity of it. My favorite song ever is "The Lady in My Life" by Michael Jackson. So,
Oh, I love that song. Lady.
yeah, that's my all-time favorite song. And you know, I do have a top 5, but I always and actually because it's so my favorite, I only listen to it on rare occasions so that I don't overplay it and stuff. And I think my favorite movie is Schindler's List.
Oh wow.
It's the it's the reconciliation, the fact that he went from trying to make money to saving lives, and the fact that he recognized that actually I could have done more, but he didn't realize that he'd done enough. He did so much more, and that transition of the human being. And as a therapist, it's what I look to do is see it's not where you start from, it's where you transition to. And Schindler was a different man at the end of the film to when he started, and so. That always gets me emotional, and followed by Color Purple. That's those emotional films are the ones that really get me. But anyway, it would be great if you guys are up for it to see if there's something that you could play for us to.
Position. Positions, and let me move this so everybody.
We're going to do one of the songs off of our album. This during the pandemic, and we started doing these songs on social media through the Community Music Center, where Julie Ruliak Steinberg is the director. And so they suggested that we do music on Zoom to help people who were shut in. I wrote this song as a result of that, to let people know that the love you seek, the love that you're missing, lives within you. And at the end of the day, if you can't love you, you can't say I love you to anyone else. So this song says, love is the place where you go. Love is what you do. Love is where you go. So that's what this song is.
Okay.
Okay, let's.
We're done. We're done. Yeah, I think so. Okay. You're close enough there. Ooh, pardon the sound.
Oh, are we setting up our mics?
You guys are close enough to the iPad.
Let me turn these mics down.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be all.
You don't really have to sing in the mic.
Yes.
Just play soft enough so they can hear.
Yeah.
No, you're singing.
Hi. So hard to see me.
You were created to fly with love, falling over. Let nothing and no one how you are true. Believe and see the mind in you. You can always be what you seek your truth. That's when you're feeling love. That's what you do when you're all alone. When you shine a light on the world, you share the love that is within you. Despite what you do, it's that love you see through. When nothing and no one how you are true. Believe and see the light in you. So you can walk and see the truth. Wherever you are,
Wow.
Sound
that
okay?
that was awesome. I think it was cutting in and out, but I'm not sure the playback and stuff. But it was awesome to listen. Yeah, it was cutting back in and out, but it was lovely just to hear all of you getting involved vocally. And what's the name of the song?
Love's where you go.
Loves Where You Go. Yes, really, really loved it. Yeah, I don't know why it was cutting in and out, but it's probably, I don't know, maybe the echo or so. But no, that was great. Um, I couldn't leave if you don't do the Keep a Positive Mind, which is out now. Because as I said, the inspiration behind that, you've shared an amazing story and an amazing journey, and it would be a good message to everyone to keep a positive mind despite what they're going through. I lived in America for 10 years, and politics has changed a lot. There's a war in Ukraine. There's a lot of people struggling with money, and it would be great for people to realize that in spite of the ups and downs, there's a message about keeping a positive mind, that the storm will pass.
All right.
Well, on that note,
And shout out.
I'm trying to play it softer, so is it cutting out now?
Not right now. It seems to be fine. Wow, it is really, yeah, really blessed. There's so much joy just watching a family in unity, and as I said, it's what Papa C echoed about the importance of keeping a positive and strong family, and this is something that is evident in you guys. And just seeing you guys as a family, kids, and everyone really enjoying yourself as you're performing. That's really inspirational. So I do thank you guys. Taking time out of your early morning to speak with me today. I really appreciate it, and definitely when the next we're going to promote this one, but when the next album comes out, we're definitely going to have to do this again, to really see where you guys are next and stuff. So I do appreciate your time today. Finally, just remind everyone where they can get your stuff, the name of your website.
Oh yeah, sure. So our website is notes.com, We're on all social media platforms at the Curtis Family C Notes. And on our website, you can order a commemorative CD. We autograph it and mail it out ourselves. You can purchase downloads on our website as well. And we did put our album on, it's streaming on all platforms. And we did that just so then everybody can access it, because we knew that putting out an album ain't gonna make us no money, but it was just grand and to share the love.
Yes.
Yeah, which is something that you guys have done today, and I really appreciate it. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we want everyone to know that we support the strike against the strike, that's going on.
The writer's
The
strike
writer's
and
strike.
SAG.
And what's going on with, the streaming thing, because people are putting their lives out there, their art out there. They're not getting any residual effect that's going to live, let alone, buy a candy bar. So we're behind that as well.
Yeah.
So we're in solidarity, and we stand with those who are out there trying to right these wrongs that are being perpetrated on people by these billionaires.
Yeah, yes. Well, it's true, and you know what? And I think just finally, I've got 3 kids who I can't play an instrument even if my life depended on me. Neither can I.
You can.
Keep
Yes.
us. I mean, I can beat on a table, but I've got 3 kids who I don't know where they got their musical gifts from, but I'm going to have them watch this so that they can. I can try and get the 3 of them to be inspired to play. And play together and not be just as a lesson and stuff, and that's one of the things I hope that other families would see this and think, you know what, even if we can't sing and play instruments, we as a family, there are things that we can do together, and I think that's something that evidence of what you guys have demonstrated today.
Can we tell you just one thing about what we
Yeah.
do? My wife didn't get a chance to tell you. We have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And let me just say this to you, brother. Music is your birthright. You're supposed to be playing an instrument. Whether you pick up 2 sticks and hit them and play with your children. That's what this is all about. But I'm going to let my wife tell you about our nonprofit.
So every city we play in, we are certain to offer free workshops. And it's about bringing families together so they have that activity with one another. And we've seen how in our lives being musical, we're able to communicate on a very deep level, and we've seen how it really benefits us as a family. And we want our situation not to be so unique.
Yeah.
So believe me, Nnamdi, if I can play, you can too. And I hear the way that you speak, Nnamdi. You speak so. It's so melodious, and you have a very beautiful texture to your voice.
You can talk, you can sing,
You can
you
talk,
can
you can
walk,
sing.
you can dance.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, melodious. Oh yeah. Shout out to Melodious.
Yeah.
But so I want you to know that it was really, you have such a love for music, and I know you can do it. And so a lot of what we're passing the torch is bringing intergenerational. So we want our vice versa and bring families together. So every city that we go into, we don't just want the children to participate. We want the parents there. We want them learning as a family. So by the end of the workshop, they perform a piece together as a family.
Yeah.
So that's passing the torch.
That's okay. Well, I will. I bought a guitar about 15 years ago. I'm glad that my kids are playing the guitar that I never got to play. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's not too late.
Yeah, no, it's. I think the reason and why I love doing this is because I think my passion for music, I'm able to let others to celebrate others. It's almost like you're playing through others, and by celebrating you guys, I'm able to just honor the music. And one of the things that I remember telling Elle during the interview was because I watched one of his when he was at a church performing, singing, and I spoke to him about that there is a higher calling for, like King David had with his music, and it is about how music can transform lives through people who listen to it. As you were saying, during the pandemic, you guys were singing, and even if 4 people were there, you were still performing and singing. And music was one of the main gifts sent by God, but most people tend to commercialize it and use it and for self-image and things. And I think when you can connect to its origin and its power and its purpose, it's a power that transforms those who listen. And it's not because of skill, it's not because of any added stuff you end, but it's just the love and the spirit behind it. So that's why I'm attracted to what you guys do, and I as much as we can do to make sure that other people can be blessed by listening and supporting you guys, that will only be as much benefit as possible.
Thank you so much. And speaking of Elle, when I was pregnant with all of them, I would always sing "All This Love." All this love is what you need.
Yes. Well, it's great. So, is it every Mondays you go live, so people just know? Is it on Instagram or
Yeah.
YouTube, so let people know what?
Every Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Okay.
Live rehearsal music Monday.
Live rehearsal. Just let people in on how we put our, how we rehearse, and we share games and stories, and we have different hosts. Different guests come in.
Yes.
This month we're having the Larry Douglas, who's worked with Ray Charles. He's worked with the Cadre
Shuggy
people,
Otis,
but he was Shuggy Otis's
music director. Oh yeah, and Johnny Otis.
And Johnny Otis, who was their music director. So
Yeah.
he's going to be our guest on Monday.
Yeah. So we had Elle. Elle was our first guest ever. He surprised us by stopping in town and coming over.
Yeah, he called us.
And then after that, it was Lenny Williams of Tower of Power,
Yes.
which was awesome. And then we had Juan.
The great Lenny Williams.
Yeah, the great Lenny Williams. And then we had Juan.
My
The
godfather.
great Juan
My
Escobar.
godfather.
The great, yeah. So, Elle started this trend where we're going to
Elle is such an awesome, beautiful human being.
Yeah.
He's real.
Yeah.
He's real. And I think what happens is these people that connect with us, I have a history with them because I played with them years ago. But more so than that, many people who are in this business are looking to be around people who are real. And for those people who are out there trying to figure us out, what you see is who we are. That's who we are. We love hard. We give love, but we also don't take a lot of mess either. So we're compassionate people. We're givers. We're not takers at all. We are people who love to give and love to share. But at the same time, we don't put up with a lot of nonsense either. So that's
Just the nonprofit. Let me just get the name of it so I can put it up there. What's the name of your?
The nonprofit. We also have. We're working with. It's called Passing the Torch, and it is a nonprofit. And we have information about it on our website.
Yes.
thecurtisfamilycnotes.com. We are working with another nonprofit that is helping us to get a nice fancy website for it. But people can contribute. Our live streams, when people go to our website, there's like this live streaming tip jar. All of the proceeds, even from our merch and from our CDs, go to that continue to do, we want to, when we're touring, we want to make sure we perform and then we give back to the communities that we're performing in.
Yeah, bringing love through our music.
So is that the CurtisFamilyCnote.com?
Oh, it's plural, cnotes.com.
C notes. Okay, so if anyone goes to the then they will be able to see the passing the torch. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got it there. Well, you know, I really appreciate the time, you guys, all of you. I can see some of you still yawning and tired. Is it early morning? It's about 7, almost 10 to 7 over here. So you're 8 hours, you're 8 hours behind me. So I guess it's about 10 to 11, right?
You know, the people yawning they stayed up too late last night.
Yeah.
I'm an early. Me and Isis are early birds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when you guys, yeah, the holiday album, is it next year or later this year? What do you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be later this year. Our goal is the end of October, early November.
Okay, so I can see a schedule for you guys back in November, so that we could. We can celebrate it, you know, and you know, original Christmas albums are really good. Daryl Simmons came up with one last year, which was really excellent because it was all original. So I'd look forward to promoting yours as well, So we will talk about coming back in November. So I can't wait for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know what, Namdi, one of my personal dreams is for all of us to go to London for Christmas, because I know that's like epic.
We're coming to the
Christmas
UK.
So hopefully we'll be there in November.
But I also want to say this. We're going to be at the famous Blue Note on
Napa.
September
28th Napa.
in
In
Napa.
Napa.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, you guys got a whole set and a half to deliver, so that should be really inspirational. Just seeing you guys there. But yeah, touring would be great. My family and I are about to do a tour around Europe next week for 2 weeks. So we're driving in a small little car, the 5 of us, across Europe. So we would be listening to Keep a Positive Mind when they're fighting in the back seat, the kids, after a 2,000-mile round trip around Europe. But I appreciate you guys. So, but we will look to come back and do this again in November to talk about the Christmas album. But we'll also pass details about, you know, here's the website if anyone trying to get information about the nonprofit as well as their current CD and music that's out right now. But thank you guys.
We're coming to the UK and breaking bread with you and your family.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, if you let me know, definitely we'll definitely make that happen. I'd love my kids to be to be inspired by other musicians, and so we'll definitely look to make that happen. So we'll definitely keep in touch. And but as I said, you're one of my favorite bands and groups right now.
Thank
Well, I
you,
appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks,
you.
guys. Okay, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching today. I want to thank you guys for joining in. I am going to be off for 2 weeks but then goodness, got some other guests coming from September when I get back. Melvin Riley from Ready for the World, he's coming back. He was one of my first guests. Bryce Wilson from Groove Theory, also expecting trying to set up things with Christopher Williams and DJ Eddie F, and just a lot more and stuff. So as I enter into year 3, or is it year 4? I think so this September makes it 3 years. So as we keep going, things get bigger and better. So I appreciate you guys for joining and watching, and definitely see you next time.